Morning, everybody. Thanks for joining me for my work week forecast. The work week this week looks much less hectic than last week's work week forecast. So in terms of the weather, we're going to be really not a lot of precipitation events, rain or snow all week. We could have a little bit of light snow on Wednesday. That's basically it. And then our next real storm comes, it looks like, next Saturday into Sunday. Right now that looks wet, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. So in terms of weather, much quieter. So if you're a little fatigued by the big rainstorm and then the snowstorm that didn't really happen, at least right here over the weekend, then you get a little bit of a break this week. In terms of weather, I'm going to talk about the storm a little bit. If you're interested in my take on what happened with the forecast on the storm of the weekend, why we didn't end up with any snow, and particularly why some places in New Hampshire that really looked like they were going to get a lot of snow and got a lot of liquid to come down didn't get snow, so we're going to take a quick look at that. But if you're just looking for the forecast, we'll do that first, and then you can just tap out. So in terms of what's going on across the country at the moment, we've got another storm actually that's developing off the coast. This is going to be a fish storm. This has looked like a fish storm basically for a while. This is going to go well out to sea tomorrow from us. But it basically was a series of 3 storms that are patterned with the trough in the east formed in the ridge in the west. One of them was too far west. That was last Monday's storm, so we got all rain. One of them pretty much hit the sweet spot, except it was just slightly too far east for us, and the temperatures were just slightly too warm for us to get a sizable snowstorm. And then this one, plenty of cold air in place, but this one's going way out to sea. So this was our kind of 1 week shot at a wintry, like a big snowstorm. And a few places in Maine did get, in eastern New Hampshire did get big snow, but the rest of us did not. It looks like we're gonna have a break here for chances. I don't know, our next window of opportunity for snow could be a bit away here. So just kind of, if you're looking for snow, I know it's that time of year. Skiers are getting excited about snow. We're gonna have some snow-making weather this week, but in terms of natural snow, it's gonna be a bit here. It looks like. Satellite shows what's going on there too. You can see the storm starting to develop off the east coast. Like I said, you can see this is sliding way out to sea. Won't even clip like the Cape or anything like that with snow. You can also see, and we're going to look at this on a different picture, but the culprit for why our pattern is going to shift. This giant plume of moisture that's moving off the Pacific is going to break down the ridge in the west. And then the trough in the east will break down, and we're going to get more of a zonal pattern, and then eventually we're going to get a ridge in the east. Not a real strong ridge, so it's not going to get real warm by the end of the week here, but we are going to get into some warmer than it is today, and the storm pattern is going to shift from, instead of being on the east coast, to being more in the center of the country. It looks like, at least for the next storm, probably, and maybe the storm after that. So this is often the way it is. Things kind of shift around. You can see that this giant upper level low pressure system just south of Alaska, and this huge jet stream plume that's going to come on shore, and it's all this energy and all these high winds off the Pacific are going to break down this big ridge over the west coast, and you can see our trough in the east is going to start to lift out, and we're going to end up back in more of a ridge situation, which means generally quieter weather and generally a slightly warmer weather. But for the next couple days, we're not going to be there though, because we're still under the trough's influence. So what does that look like for practical purposes? Today's sunny for the most part, and chilly in the 20s. Basically a nice day. It's going to feel kind of a little bit wintry. Tomorrow, basically a repeat of today, maybe a few more clouds tomorrow, maybe a few high clouds from that storm that's way out to sea. We'll get a little bit of a breeze tomorrow too, so even though the temperatures will be the same, it'll feel a little colder. Wednesday, we warm up a little bit. Wednesday's the day we do have a chance for a little bit of light snow in the afternoon, with a coating to an inch or a couple inches potentially in some of those favored west-facing slope areas is definitely possible. So I'll keep an eye on that for you, but it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Probably none of the roads will really be impacted, except for maybe some of those really favored spots on the as you're going over the Green Mountains. Thursday, there could be a few leftover flurries. It'll be mostly cloudy. We'll be a little bit warmer. We'll be in the 30s, upper 30s, and then Friday we probably get close to 40 with sun and clouds. Kind of a quiet day before we have a chance for It looks like I said a wet storm on Saturday, probably Saturday afternoon into Sunday is what it's looking like right now. So that's what things look like. I want to say a quick thank you to my patrons. But as I'm doing that, I'll let you know if you want to stick around and see my take on what happened for the next couple of minutes with the storm last week. You can certainly do that. But otherwise, feel free to bow out if you're just looking for the forecast at this point. In terms of what happened with the storm last week, I'm going to try to pop up questions. If you've got any questions about that specifically, let me see if this works. It worked the other day. If you've got any specific questions, you can ask them in the YouTube comments, and I'll try to answer them now. It does not. Well, let's try this. And why does it not want to do that? No, apparently not. Okay. It's a work in progress with these comment things. I don't know why they're such a struggle. But anyways, here's the picture of what happened with the storm at a couple different layers. So, whoops, let me push myself to the front so you can actually see what's going on there. We've got, this is surface temperatures. This was like Saturday, late morning, or just afternoon, I'm sorry. And you can see, I think what happened here is, at the surface, interestingly, this is at the mid-levels of the atmosphere. This is where we would normally look, and this is why everybody, all the forecasts, myself included, we were all trapped into thinking, we're looking pretty good for snow here. This is actually a pretty good mid-level of the atmosphere map for snow. There's plenty of cold air. The freezing line is this, where it goes from blue to green. And so you can see that we're well below freezing everywhere north of, all over New England. And if you're below freezing with reasonably heavy precipitation falling, you're almost always good. But what happened was the surface temperatures were definitely warmer, and there was no cold air to kind of tap with the wind coming out of the northeast. If you can see, we're in the mid-30s everywhere. And there's no cold air here. So basically the only way you were getting snow is if the snowfall rates were so intense that the snow essentially did not have time to melt. And this layer, it was shallow, but it was there at the surface that was above freezing. And so it meant that it took a long time. If you were like here in Vermont, we were never going to get the real heavy precipitation. So we kind of needed the temperature profile to kind of get at least close to freezing, 32, 33 degrees at the surface. And we were at 34, 35, which is just a little too warm, so it stayed, unless you were at a slightly higher elevation. So the places around here that were above 2,000 feet or even above 1,700 feet basically got what I thought they were going to get for snow, but everybody under that didn't. So my house sits at about 1,100 feet in the South London area. We didn't change to snow until about 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, and it didn't accumulate for the next couple hours. It wasn't falling heavy enough to accumulate. Finally, we cooled down at about the time the sun went down, and we did get a coating, but not even an inch of snow, maybe about a half an inch here. And some of the places I thought were going to get more snow, and they did get more QPF, like down in the Brattleboro area, they didn't change over really at all. You had to get into the real heavy bands of precipitation. So if you look at the snowfall map, it kind of tells the story on that too. This is completely elevation based, which is not really what we thought was going to happen with the storm. You can see that there was some places, we got even in some places kind of along the Route 9 corridor there, 4.5 inches, and even around me, if you got up in elevation, I know over in Langrove they got a few inches of snow. Up at Stratton they definitely got 3-4 inches of snow at the base ledge, which is about 2,500 feet. So there was definitely places that got snow. And then if in New Hampshire, same thing. This is where I'm kind of thankful I don't do the weather in New Hampshire, because again, completely elevation based, right? So like Keene got almost nothing. You go just east of Keene, and the elevation change is not huge from there to the Menag. You go up in elevation, and there was places that got close to a foot of snow in like the Jaffrey Ringe area. Same kind of thing here. You've got, this is completely elevation based just northwest of Rochester. Also here the precipitation shield precipitation came down so heavy that it did overcome the fact that the ground temperatures were a little bit warmer, and there's a little bit of elevation there. But my parents live right near Laconia, and they live they're at a relatively low elevation there. They only ended up with a coating of snow. If you went up a couple hundred feet from where they were, they got several inches of snow. And the other thing that happened with this is if you were in one of these places that actually did get the snow, it ended up being really heavy and wet, and so a lot of places ended up with power outages, so probably a good thing that we didn't end up with that. The other thing also, later in the night, when after sun went down, we did get enough cooling that a lot of these places up here in northwestern Maine got a ton of snow. There's also elevation there, but so it ended up being much more of an elevation storm than I think we were thinking. We ended up a little bit warmer, particularly at the surface. It was well modeled and well understood at the mid-levels. Let me go back to that map one more time, since we're in kind of the nerdy function of this. This mid-level temperature, this is temperatures at 850 millibars. If you showed me that map again, I would say, oh no, we're definitely snow there. I'm not even that close. So it's just a good reminder that sometimes sometimes the weather will surprise you. And even though this looks really good for snow, particularly in places that we're getting pretty heavy precipitation, there was just enough warm air at the surface to keep us mostly rain or like a mix of rain and snow that doesn't really accumulate. So lessons learned. Sometimes the weather surprises us. And so we ended up with just a crusty inch, and unfortunately it's going to be a bit, if you're looking forward to snow, it's going to be a bit before we see any more snow. Quite frankly, if you've stuck around this long, I'll let you know that the long term, the next couple weeks, this week looks quiet. The week after that looks like we've got a couple chances at storms, but at least at the moment, they both look very much like inland cutters, and we look maybe some onset of some frozen precipitation, but then mostly rain. So that's obviously if you start getting week 1 to 2 out, then some things can change. But at the moment, it does not look particularly great for snow in December, at least until maybe the end of the month. So otherwise, hope you can enjoy some of the weather we've got this week. It should be cold enough to make some snow. So if you're hoping to get out there and ski some, skiing should get better as temperatures will be really good the next couple days for snow, and even overnights most of this week, even as we warm up a little towards the end of the week, we should be able to make quite a bit of snow. So hopefully that gets the ski conditions going a little bit better. Thanks for sticking around for the nerdy portion of today's forecast, yeah. And if you have any questions, like I said, I don't obviously for some reason couldn't get them coming now, but if you've got questions, ask them and I'll answer them in the comments of either the YouTube or the Facebook feed. Okay, we will see you again soon. Have a good day.